Welcome back to MLB The Show, where baseball, video games, and the entertainment worlds collide. I'm your host, Nico, but you could think of me as a modern-day GM, ready to set the lineup despite the manager's protests.
The lineup card is mine, and that's all.
Leading off the episode, we'll have the moments of the week from the MLB The Show's Players League, and I'll bring you an exclusive interview with the Colorado Rockies 2019 All-Star outfielder, Dahl. Batting second, Longo meets the Longs. Our very own Chris Longo sits down with actor Justin Long and director Christian Long to talk backyard sibling rivalries. Our closer is Hamilton star Christopher Jackson, the only person to play both George Washington and Derek Jeter on Broadway, and make President Obama swoon like this. Now let's check out the MLB Players League Moments of the Week. We live for Fernando Tatis Jr. walk-off celebrations. Hunter Pence is authoring a memorable underdog story in the Players League. The Giants are far from the highest rated team in the game, but Pence walked off yet again, this time as himself.
Good game. My heart is pumping all these games tonight. All two of them. Holy scamole, guacamole, ripperino, cappuccino. Get you some, Giants Nation, baby. We're playing some good ball. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not going to stop.
Jeff McNeil put up a 13 spot in the first inning against the Cubs' Ian Happ. And we're going to show it to you in fast forward to save Happ some of the embarrassment.
Runner from second is in to score.
Let's go.
It wouldn't be Moments of the Week without an epic reaction from AMIR GARRETT. It doesn't go his way this time as the Angels' Ty Buttrey robs him at the wall.
What the? Yo! Hey, hats off to him, bro. That was awesome.
Dahl came up to the plate with an appetite for destruction and launched a dong into the third deck as himself.
That third deck? That one is out of here.
Earlier in the week, Dahl joined MLB The Show to relive this glorious self-home run. Joining MLB The Show is Rockies outfielder and 2019 All-Star Dahl. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very good. And I think the question on everyone's mind right now is obviously, what is it like to hit a home run as yourself in a video game tournament?
Forget about this one.
Let's go.
Yeah, it was cool. It was the first time I actually did something well with myself during this tournament, so it was actually cool to see.
What's it like been connecting with other players in the MLB, like through this league that you probably normally wouldn't get a chance to speak to as much during the season?
It's been fun. It gives us something to do. Keep talking to some of the guys around the league, and also just gives the fans something to watch during this downtime. So it's definitely been fun. I'm not playing very well. Got to get better, but working on it.
You got plenty of time to practice.
Yeah.
So you've added All-Star to your resume, and that's impressive. But where would a Players League championship fall in terms of bragging rights you'll have next time you step out on the field?
I'm not sure. I don't think I'm going to really win it because I think I'm kind of at the bottom right now. So if I got to get really hot to win something here. I think Gallo has it on lockdown right now.
Hey, you never know. Anything can happen, right?
Yeah, but I'm pretty far out. I think it takes the top 8 teams, and I'm pretty far out from there.
We heard you have a solid lineup at home with your wife, Jacqueline, who's a sports marketing agent, and your dog, Rookie, who's a famous Instagram star in her own right. Do you ask them for any social media tips?
I asked my wife Jacqueline. She actually does my social media pretty much. So anytime I want to post or anything, I just give the phone to her and let her do it.
Yeah, it's a smart move. Is Rookie the famous baseball dog around that we can say hello to?
Yeah, he's laying down over here. Let me go get him.
Oh, yeah, let's say hey.
There he is. He just lay in. He loves the wind, so he just sits out. Sits in the wind.
You've had to overcome a lot of injury hurdles in your professional career. What did it mean to you to get recognized as an All-Star last year, and what was your favorite memory from All-Star Week?
Yeah, it's definitely an honor to overcome all those injuries and kind of see the hard work really pay off right there. It was a dream come true. It was very surreal, and it really didn't hit me for a while that I made the All-Star game. I would say the best memory was obviously going with the three guys on our team, Trevor, Nolan, and Charlie. And also, I think when we were sitting in there about to go out, Dave Roberts had like a meeting with the team and just kind of was like, take a look around, like, you guys are all stars. And it kind of just, that's when it hit me, seeing all the great players in there, and it was like, wow, like I'm in this room right now. So definitely makes you want to go back to every single game.
So what was your mindset like going to this past off season, and what parts of your game you're looking to really improve for 2020?
Yeah, I think just building on what I did last year at the plate, I want to not chase as much. I'm naturally an aggressive hitter, but I think if I can lock down the strike zone a little more and not swing and miss balls in the zone, I think I can really take off. And also just, staying out there, staying healthy, that's been the toughest thing for me. It hasn't been any it's just been freaky injuries, so it's really just avoiding some bad luck.
And now we have a very special question from our junior reporter, Dylan.
Hi, David. This is Dylan. How can Little Leaguers prepare for the season at home?
I think the biggest thing, you can always be throwing, you can run, you can, even if you just have a bat, just work on your swing, your setup. It's definitely hard, and just got to kind of find ways to really try to get better. If you have a net, hit into a net. And if you don't have anything, then I would say the best thing to do is, I think running is really important. I think that can help you stay in shape and, stay ready when the season does come.
Who's your baseball hero when you were a kid?
I was a big Chipper Jones fan. I was the Atlanta Braves fan. I just loved Chipper Jones, and that's who I grew up watching.
Thanks very much, David. Bye.
David, thanks for stopping by MLB The Show, and good luck the rest of the way in the Players League. And we hope to see you on the field sometime again soon this year.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Now it's time to strip down the highlights and reveal the biggest dongs of the week. Fernando Tatis Jr. went ballistic on the Cardinals' Matt Carpenter. He launched 7 home runs in 1 inning.
Left fielder looking up, still going back in the wall.
It's Ohio! Yes! Deja vu! It's crazy, man.
He hit so many that we ran out of time to show you more dongs. Let's go now to Chris Longo, who interviewed Justin and Christian Long.
We're joined now by Justin and Christian Long. Your new film, Lady of the Manor, you guys co-wrote and co-directed the movie. You guys shot it down in Tampa, St. Pete, and I heard you guys got to go to spring training baseball, which to me is like getting a bottle of whiskey right before Prohibition. What was it like going down there and seeing some spring training games?
We're big Mets fans, and we were on the other coast, unfortunately, from Port St. Lucie. So we had an opportunity to go to a Yankees spring training game. And I'm not, Mets Yankees obviously are rivals to some degree because they're both in New York, but I grew up kind of liking the Yankees too. I was never one of those Mets fans who like hated the Yankees and loved them. So we went to a Yankees game, and it was so fun because bragging, we got to sit in the front row.
Thanks to our mutual friend
Joe hooked us up with great seats, and it was amazing. It was like It was
It
like
was
all
so
the best
cool.
parts of going to a major league game,
Yeah.
and with none of the bad parts. None of like the crazy lines to get drinks and
What was that stadium called? It was the Blue Jays spring training. It was in
it was
Dunedin.
Dunedin.
It was a beautiful stadium and not that crowded. I mean, it was crowded, but it was like manageable crowds, and you're right there. It was, and the Yankees Mets thing when we were growing up, it wasn't so much like I remember it being more of like a class thing. Like our parents were like, or our dad anyway was like, oh, I think he instilled in us that Yankees, because they had more money and the tickets were more expensive, and that was always kind of my.
Well, they also say that like most Mets fans are like, that's the New York City team. That's like people who live in the city root for the Mets, whereas people in the outskirts, like Long Island and Connecticut and Westchester, tend to root for the Yankees.
Oh,
more.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes sense.
Mets fans are like real New Yorkers.
Yes.
You got that autograph from what's his name? The Anthony Young.
Yeah.
You remember Anthony Young on the Mets?
Remember him, Chris?
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I think he broke, at the time, he had the record for most consecutive losses.
He did
as a starter.
Or it was the game where he was set to tie the record.
He lost like 21 games in a row or something crazy like that.
Yeah, and it was the game where I think he either tied the record or was like set to break the record. Do you say break the record if it's a bad record?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess so. And I saw these kids. He was signing autographs, which is really nice. And I didn't have a baseball, but I had for some reason a tennis ball with me. We used to remember when we used to put pennies in the tennis balls to like train to like. So I had that. I took the pennies out and I ran down to where he was signing, and he had a Sharpie, and he took my tennis ball and he was like, "Are you kidding me? You want me to sign?" I forget exactly what he said, but he was like, "You want me to sign this tennis ball?" And I couldn't understand why that was such a problem, just because it was like a different sport and it was weird. But I in retrospect, like signing a tennis ball, it's because it's so hairy,
fuzzy.
Yeah, it's really difficult,
especially like old worn-in tennis balls.
Yeah,
I'm imagining it was one of those.
But I still have it. I still have that. That is Anthony Young tennis ball autograph.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. What?
I'd argue that your sports movie, Justin, Dodgeball, is the most inspirational sports movie of all time.
David and Goliath's story truer than the Bible itself.
If you guys had to pick some major league players to be on a dodgeball roster, who would you choose?
I would like Jeff McNeil on my dodgeball team. He's versatile, he's agile, he's wily.
Yeah,
and I think that he'd make a really good dodgeball player. You want someone with a really strong throwing arm, so you want like, DeGrom would be good.
Yeah, I like Gregorius. He seemed very agile, all those things. I remember the first day we did dodgeball training, we did a week of like training for just to learn the moves and stuff, and we trained with the champions, the Poughkeepsie. I think they were the real like dodgeball champions that I think they were called the Poughkeepsie Cougars or Flying Cougars or something, and I think they were actually in the movie. And I was so cocky about my dodgeball skills because it was the one sport that I was really good at when I was a kid, and I was good at it because I was able to evade the ball. I had a lot of fear, and I was quick and little, and so I think you'd want some
small, like Chuck Knobloch.
Yes, yeah, Chuck or Ricky Henderson or somebody with like low center of gravity who was agile, who could move.
Mm-hmm. So your podcast, Life is Short, you guys got some amazing guests on the show. Can you tell me a little bit about how the show started?
Wondering.
Yeah, this company called Wondering. Yes, they approached me, and it just, I don't know. I always liked the format. There was something about when you do televised talk shows and like late night shows and stuff. There was always this. It always felt like a lot of pressure, and you have to get everything out in little sound bites and 5-minute segments. You have to be. There's just like this heightened awareness of what you were saying. So I like the long form interview style, and I'm long winded, so that's my style.
And we've gotten really good guests. We've gotten some really fascinating, interesting guests.
Yeah, we've been very lucky. At first, Chris, it was about like before it was a show that we could tell people to listen to, and we had examples of episodes. I kind of had to reach out to friends. A bunch of our friends were on, and so those were the first few episodes. Excuse me. But since then, yeah, we've been lucky enough to have, and not just actors. At first, it was mostly just actors, and we've since had like Neil deGrasse Tyson and what other non-actors? A bunch of
Bill
Bill
Nye.
Nye. Yeah, we've been really lucky.
Thank you guys so much for
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. This is
talking
really
some baseball and various other topics on MLB the show.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah. Hope baseball comes back soon.
I
We miss
know.
it.
Miss it so much.
Let's track down the funniest fielding gaffes in our new segment, Operator Errors. You thought 13 runs was bad? Baltimore's Dwight Smith Jr. put up a 16 spot in the third inning against Nico Goodrum's Tigers. Watch him just laugh it off as Goodrum's defensive wheels fall off.
Is that go ball?
And that runner will go no further than second as there are two
Bro, I'm literally hitting the ball where you can get it out and you're not.
Trevor May, the league's commissioner, presented without commentary.
Catch the ball! What is happening? Oh my God!
League's canceled. League's canceled. League's canceled.
Let's go now to our final interview. Chris Longo spoke with Hamilton star Christopher Jackson about what it's like playing Derek Jeter on Broadway.
Joining us now is an actor, composer, Grammy winner, Emmy winner, and the only person to actually play George Washington and Derek Jeter on Broadway. We fact-checked that last one. Welcome to the show, Christopher Jackson.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having me, man.
So you became a star of stage and screen in the early 90s, but you were a ball player first growing up, correct?
Man, it was the only thing that I ever wanted to do. Only thing. Purely aspirational. As skilled as I considered myself to be, I wasn't the best player on my team by any stretch. But I grew up in Southern Illinois, watching the Cardinals, Ozzie Smith and Tommy Herr and Jack Clark and Van Slyke and all of these amazing players from the '80s. And we would get to take at least one trip a year at the end of our baseball season. The entire Rotary baseball organization would bus us up, and we'd eat McDonald's on the riverboat and then go and sweat for 3.5 hours at the old Busch Stadium.
So when you moved to New York to start your Broadway career, that was right around the time the Yankees dynasty was starting to bubble up and Derek Jeter was starting to kind of put his stamp on New York. What was that like, coming to the city and starting to feel Yankees fever?
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I was a Cardinal fan, and then I kind of transitioned to the Mets when they, because I just got caught up in all of their antics and Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry and following that team. And then when I got to New York, the Yankees just sort of, they were always there, but they kind of existed in the black and white, Roger Maris, Mickey Mantle world for me. One of the first sports books I ever read was a Mickey Mantle biography, and so I was familiar with the Yankee lore, man. But the '90s, man, they came in like a freight train, and it was really, really exciting to watch. And I got to Broadway the same year that Jeter made it to the show, and so we kind of had our rookie seasons at the same time, and the Lion King won the Tony for Best Musical, and that's the World Series for Broadway actors and for Broadway shows. And so I always kind of found a little parallel there.
So in 2014, you actually got to play Derek Jeter on Broadway in the show Bronx Bombers. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got the role and kind of how you prepped for it?
That show was sort of like a Yankee fever dream. It also coincided with, Jeter being out for the year with a torn Achilles. And so for me, it was sort of, it was bittersweet in that I think for all of us in the production, you had, Babe Ruth and Joe DiMaggio and Derek Jeter. You had all of these and Reggie Jackson. You had all these personalities that were sitting around a table having this crazy dinner, all as a part of Yogi Berra's, fever dream. And it was pretty incredible. We got to meet, at the opening, there were so many of the Yankee greats, they rolled out, and Ricky Henderson was telling stories and, signing autographs in the lobby. We had a World Series one of the World Series trophies in the lobby. It was pretty amazing. And we got, I think the coolest part outside of just the production itself was being able to go to Yankee Stadium and being able to get behind the door a little bit and see behind the curtain and see just what kind of an organization that it's been and what it's grown into, how they celebrate their veterans, their former players, and how that all kind of folds into, the lore that is the Yankees, besides winning a whole lot of baseball games.
So obviously being in Hamilton, you must have met just some incredible people behind the scenes, but from doing that Yankees play, was there a player that you got starstruck meeting?
I didn't meet Jeter while I was in the show. He came to the show about, I want to say maybe a couple of months after I left, and the stage manager knew how big a Jeter fan, I've always been. And, I talk about him a lot. And the stage manager calls me up and says, "Hey, by the way, Jeter's here tonight." I got in my car with my jersey from the Bronx Bombers show. I go down to the theater. Mind you, I'm not in the show. I walk up to him and I'm like, "Yo, man, I know this is going to sound crazy. You don't know me. I was in the show, but now I'm not in the show. Oh, and by the way, I played you on a Broadway show." And there's a lot of information for anyone, I would imagine, to take it. But he just kind of looked at me sideways and was like, "Oh, okay." And he signed the jersey, which is great. I have it, framed in my studio. But that was kind of a surreal moment.
What are you working on? Where can they find you next?
Man, right now I'm shooting a series on CBS called Bull. We're about to enter our 5th season, and when we get back to work, there's going to be a lot of fun things happening with that. I'll be shooting Tick Tick Boom with Lynn. I'm working on a studio record right now. I've got 3 TV shows in the hopper waiting to go, get sold and that I've written. And right now, just looking to collaborate as much as possible and just keep putting good stuff out in the world. And of course, next fall, the Hamilton movie comes out. So, there'll be hopefully no shortage of invites to, softball games.
You're a busy man. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk about us here on MLB The Show. And
I can't wait for the season to start when it's safe.
Roughly halfway through the season, we have a close race between Blake Snell, Bo Bichette, and Dwight Smith Jr. in the AL East. Lucas Giolito and Trevor May are battling it out for the AL Central crown. In the West, it's Gallo all day long. He's currently the tournament's top playoff seed. In the NL, Jeff McNeil is starting to pull away in the East. AMIR Garrett is the big dog in the Central. In the West, Gavin Lux and Fernando Tatis Jr. are neck and neck. Thanks for watching MLB The Show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and send us your favorite dongs of the week. See you next time.
Like the sound of this video? All of our music was licensed from Soundstripe, a subscription-based royalty-free music library for filmmakers, podcasters, YouTubers, and more. Soundstripe. Keep creating.